Hello again. We're in Walter Rauschenbusch, Christianity and Social Crisis, page 150, the chapter of the work of social reconstruction. The facts of history are so clear on this point that the indirectness of the social influence of Christianity has been set up as a kind of doctrine. We're told that Christianity is sure to affect society, but that Christianity must not seek to affect it. The mission of the church is to implant the divine life in the souls of men, and from these regenerated individuals, forces of righteousness will silently radiate, and evil customs and institutions will melt away without any propaganda. Now that's the evangelical attitude that Rauschenbusch is critiquing here. That is certainly one of the most important means of social transformation, but put a new moral standard and a new moral motive into a human heart, and it will unconsciously affect all it touches. A Christian woman will make a home sweet and Christian, even if she has no theory about Christianizing the home life. But would it not be more effective still if she added the conscious purpose to make her home life a little kingdom of God, and intelligently set herself to counteract all customs and outside influences that express the selfishness and ostentation and gluttony of the life surrounding her home? If a result gives us joy and pride after it is attained, why should it not be our conscious object before it is attained? Why should the instinctive and unpurposed action of Christian men be more effective than a deeply rooted and intelligent purpose? Since when is a curved and circuitous line the shortest distance between 2 points? Will the liquor traffic disappear if we say nothing about it? Will the atrocities on the Congo cease if we merely radiate goodness from our regenerate souls? We suspect that this theory was devised to put the best face on an uncomfortable fact. It is a fact that there has been a startling absence of any thorough and far-seeing determination or effort to transform and Christianize the social life of humanity. But that lack has not been due to the wise self-restraint of the Church, which knew a better way, but to a series of historical causes which have paralyzed its reconstructive purpose and power. These causes I shall try to set forth in this chapter, and it can then be judged whether the past failure of the Church to undertake the reconstruction of social life justifies a present refusal to undertake it consciously. This brief survey will have to run back and forth over 19 centuries of Christian history. Its brevity will have to excuse the abruptness and the lack of due qualifications in many of the statements. And then his next subhead is impossibility of any social propaganda in the first centuries. Rauschenbusch says, it is correctly asserted that the apostles undertook no social propaganda. Paul held no anti-slavery meetings. Peter made no public protest against the organized grafting in the Roman system of tax farming. Of course they did not. Even the most ardent Christian socialist of our day would have stepped softly if he had been in their place. The right of public agitation was very limited in the Roman Empire. Any attempt to arouse the people against the oppression of the government or the special privileges of the possessing classes would have been choked off with relentless promptness. If, for instance, anyone had been known to sow discontent among the vast and ever-threatening slave population, which was not Negro but white, he would have had short shrift. Society was tensely alert against any possible slave rising. If a slave killed his master, the law provided that every slave of that household should be killed, even if there was no trace of complicity. Upper-class philosophers might permit themselves very noble and liberal sentiments only because there was no connection between them and the masses, and their sentiments ended in perfumed smoke. Under such circumstances, any prudent man will husband his chances of life and usefulness and drop the seeds of truth warily. If the convictions of William Lloyd Garrison, that is the abolitionist, had burned in Paul, we should probably not know that Paul had ever existed. There's no parallel between such a situation and our own in a country where we are ourselves the citizen kings and where the right of moral agitation is almost unlimited. The Parallel would have to be sought with American missionaries working among the Armenians in Turkey, or with evangelical sectarians in Russia before the present revolution. Our missionaries in China are in a privileged position, yet they have to let official corruption alone, or their consuls are likely to hear from the mandarins. Now, of course, the situation in 1907 he's describing here among missionary groups has been constantly changing over the last century, and in China over the last several decades, as Michael Green points out, there's been a revolution and tens of millions of people being brought to Christianity, as in Korea, as in other points in the Far East, and Africa as well. So I'll put on a link to Michael Green's discussion of how that's happened in these outreaches that in 1907, when Rauschenbusch wrote these words, were not even opened up yet. China had started, but there's been many setbacks. So Michael Green's comments on what has made the big difference in the Far East, I'll link next time. Postponement to the Lord's coming.